welcome to the Local Lick Show. Johnny Dollar here, broadcasting live from the Rhythm City Casino Studios here in downtown Erie, Illinois. Serving the Quad Cities and worldwide online, WQUD-FM.com. Click on the Listen Now button and take us just about anywhere you want to. And the Local Lick Show is sponsored by Brenny's Motorcycle Clinic, Quad City's largest new and pre-owned motorcycle, scooter, and off-road vehicle dealer. Check them out at 4426 State Street in beautiful Bettendorf, Iowa. Oh, thank you so much for tuning in on this warm, toasty, kind of muggy Saturday afternoon. And we've got a lot of stuff for you today. Most importantly, though, we've got a live guest in studio. Joining me is Johnathan Eckberg. Johnathan, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yes, and it's so good to have you here. And first of all, this is your first time playing music on the show.
Yeah.
And first of all, we got to know. Now we were talking about it just off the air. Johnathan Eckberg of Oak Mountain.
Sure.
Sir, so you've got, so it's Oak Mountain. Tell us a little bit about you and your music projects.
Yeah, so I grew up about 35 miles from here in Walnut, Illinois. Started playing music when I was in about 8th grade. I remember I started playing guitar, would sneak in and pick up my dad's guitar and started learning to play. And I know my parents have told me since then that they had a conversation at one point about who was going to tell me I was tone deaf and that music was not going to be my thing.
Oh, boy.
So it was rough getting started, but things finally clicked and started playing music. Really started playing, stuff my dad was playing. My dad was a musician, traveled all over, played a lot of music, just playing rock bands and stuff like that. So learned playing a lot of Beatles and Buffalo Springfield and that kind of stuff and just kind of hearing all that. And from there, I got into high school. Stevie Ray Vaughan became kind of the standard.
Yeah,
so
that's a good standard.
Yeah, absolutely. That was my learning to play lead guitar, was figuring out all this Stevie Ray Vaughan stuff and learning to play that. And so that was all through high school. Ended up going to college and got into more singer-songwriter stuff, because in dorm rooms and tight spaces, you couldn't always crank up the electric. So you started playing acoustic and really got into some singer-songwriter stuff. So all of that together gave me a pretty eclectic mix of what I was hearing, what I was learning, what I was really enjoying, and eventually moved down to Nashville. Spent about 5 years down there. Got to play guitar for a lot of people. Got to do some side work, some studio work, exposed to even broader range of music, a little more country. Used to play guitar for some worship leaders and do kind of backing, hired gun type stuff for them. So it's for me, music has always been just, man, what do I enjoy out of all of these different genres? So, Johnathan Eckberg of Oak Mountain, I've done, every kind of music you can think of, really. And so I've done albums under my own name. I've done kind of a pop rock album with two of my brothers. I've done a couple of worship albums under the name Until We're Kings, and now it's mostly Oak Mountain, which is the name Oak Mountain is, my last name is Eckberg, which Eck means oak, Berg means mountain. Oh. So Oak Mountain is really still kind of under my own name, but just a little different angle to view it from. So
I like that.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of everything in there.
Yeah, well, that's a great way to come up with a name, man. I love that, man. So now you said you grew up with a lot of influences, and so do you combine all of that, or did you pick one over the other, or how does that work for you?
Yeah, I think if you listen to the music I'm making now, you can hear little bits of influence of that stuff. The Beatles stuff I love. Some of those 60s groups, the Beatles, the Hollies, some of that stuff, the vocal harmonies that happen there. So I think you get a lot of that in the vocal harmonies. Of course, I learned to play guitar. I was like 13. I was 90, like 93, 92. So I learned to play guitar in the 90s. So I got a lot of that. You know, I love some of the 90s pop rock stuff, Tonic and the Gin Blossoms are one of my favorites, because you listen to the Gin Blossom albums, their guitars are, there's an orchestration of electric guitar parts that go on in those that is phenomenal from a music production standpoint. So I think if you listen to some of my stuff, you can hear some of that come through. You know, the folk singer stuff, whether it's Bob Dylan or I love, there's a guy named David Wilcox, there's a guy named John Gorka, some you know, lesser known folk singer songwriters. I think in some of my lyrics you hear some of that come out. Then there's the kind of country rock, the Wilco and
Wilco, love Wilco,
Uncle Tupelo, Jason Isbell, all that kind of stuff. Where kind of that, you know, you get a little bit of that country influence, but still that songwriter, that storytelling that goes on in there. That I think some of that comes through. So I don't ever go into writing a song or thinking about producing a song going, I need to do a country sounding song, or I need to do a pop sounding song. It's more of just, man, what am I doing, and where do these lyrics take me? Where does this song take me? And how do we take all that stuff that I love and try to kind of mix it up and throw it out in something that at least I enjoy. Even if nobody else cares and nobody else likes it, I enjoy it. So sure, that's kind of where you end up. You first, because if you don't enjoy it, if you're not enjoying the music, then nobody else is going to really enjoying the music. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, you got a song for us to start off? Sure, would love to. This is one of the songs off of my latest EP, which I released a couple months ago, Oak Mountain. It's called Smile Again. And this is a song called Stupid Little Punk, which is a much happier song than it sounds like. It's it's really a song I wrote about kind of all the years of playing, traveling, doing music, and looking back at this point in my life. And if you told me 20 years ago this is where I was going to be in my life, I would have been like, that's not what I'm trying to do. That's not where I'm trying to be. But you kind of get to that point in life where you look back and you start to connect some of these dots, and you go, man, it's incredible that I'm here. This is exactly where I want to be. Like, I've reached a point in my life where I go, this is awesome. Like, I love the people I'm around. I love the things I get to do. I love my life right now, and it's nothing like I thought it would be when I was 18 or 20. But it all kind of works out. So this is called Stupid Little Punk. I remember him well, that stupid little punk. Dream a guitar and an amp in the trunk. Driving all night long just to play a few songs to a handful of ears and a room full of drunks. But every time I think about it, I know it never went wrong for me and you. Running all late like rendezvous, yeah, for me. Better than any dream come true, and I could never be more in love with a lover like you. But 10 years later, that hope's still burning bright. Carried that tune through the Nashville nights. But all along, every step a new depth, the fear that the cheers led his heart to its death. And every time I think about it, I know it never went wrong for me and you. Running all late like rendezvous, yeah, for me, it's you. Better than any dream come true, and I could never be more in love with a lover like you. And laughing all night long to those bitter old songs, knowing somehow, somewhere you were singing along, trying to make our tracks, trying to fight our way back through the tears and the fears of relentless attacks. But you know better than that. For me and you, running all late like rendezvous, yeah, for me, it's you. Better
Johnathan Eckberg live in studio here. Well, that's a great song. You sent that to me, about a month or so ago,
Yeah.
and I listened to it. Yeah, and like you said, it's much happier than the title sounds.
Yes.
I was like, wow, this is who's this going to be about?
Yes. Yeah. It's it's a song I wrote for my wife. We didn't meet till we were about 30. I'd kind of been through all the stuff in my 20s, running around trying to play music, trying to make a living, and it just never worked out. And all of those steps kind of led me to her. And you go, oh, well, this is great.
Yeah, all meant to be.
Absolutely.
Now, you said your father was a singer, songwriter, musician,
Yeah.
and played. You done any shows with him?
Yeah, we do every once in a while. He has a thing called the Ron Eckberg Band, which is a couple of my brothers and I will step in and out of that. We're actually playing on the 4th of July over in Walnut, Illinois. They have a huge 4th of July celebration, huge firework thing, and we always play in the afternoon there. And so my dad plays. He does lead vocals and rhythm guitar, and my brother Matt, who you've met.
Shout out to Matt. Yep.
Yeah. So he's playing bass that night. Sometimes I have another brother who plays bass, and he plays bass, and Matt plays guitar and sings, and but it'll be just Matt on bass, and I'll play lead guitar and do background vocals. So that's just a blast. We get to do all the fun 60s and some 50s type rock stuff, and we do we get to do stuff that people know and love, like Twist and Shout or I Saw Her Standing There, some of the good Beatles stuff. But then we also get to do, because my dad's a rocker from that time, we get to do some stuff that people are like, oh yeah, I've heard that before. We do like Get Together, which is that.
Come on,
people now, shine on your brother, everybody get. And people say Get Together. A lot of people don't know it, but then they hear it, they're like, oh, I love that song,
Yeah, the deep cuts.
We get to do some fun stuff like that too.
Yeah.
So that'll be a good time.
So now it sounds like it's a family thing, and it sounds like it all came natural because not everybody follows in their parents' footsteps, and we have a lot of musicians that come in, and most of the time they had somebody in their life close to had some kind of musical influence, whether it's just because their parents listened to a lot of music, or that they were in a band. For you, did it come naturally, or did you feel like you had to be a musician, or how did that work for you?
Yeah, I don't know that it came as naturally for me, as much as I just loved it and pursued it. And like I said, my parents had a conversation very early on when I was learning to play guitar, going, man, that just sounds like I don't think this is going to be his thing. And so I don't think it came as naturally for me. Like for my brother Matt, I think it comes more naturally. And my brother Jeremy, who's a bass player, is probably the best bass player I've ever been around and ever played. I mean, he is absolutely phenomenal, and he hears stuff and he knows it, he gets it. Like for him, it's probably the most natural of all of us. So there's I think there's varying degrees in our family. I think for me it's much less natural, but there's still there's some of that stuff that I think you can't teach. Some of the stuff that I can hear, that you just go, oh, okay, like that seems to make sense for me, that it might not for other people, but I think overall I've always loved music. So I was never forced into it. I was never pushed that way. It wasn't like Dad going, hey, I'm a musician, you got to learn to play guitar, or anything like that. But I loved it and just kind of kept doing it.
Yeah, but you had the talent gene though, because
yes, I think so. Yeah, absolutely.
I listen to a lot of music, and I have a guitar at home, but I just don't have that talent gene. I have the appreciation gene for it,
right?
But that talent gene I'm missing somewhere.
Yeah, so. I think some of that what's in your genes. I think there is a kind of a built-in ceiling for you.
Yeah,
for every one of us.
Yeah.
We can, even if you have no musical ability, you can learn chords and you can play some songs and you can get to your ceiling.
Sure.
I think the people who have more natural ability kind of get close to there a little quicker, and their ceiling's higher than others, and You know.
Well, you definitely sound great. And,
thank you.
And that kind of leads me into my next question is for you. You kind of mentioned earlier about when you go into writing a song or thinking about a song, you don't. It's not necessarily is it going to be this type like a pop song or a country song, a rock song, but for you, what comes first? Does the style of music come to you first? Like, okay, I want to write this type of song, or is it the lyrics? Do the lyrics come first, and then you go from there? Well, I'm going to take these lyrics and turn them into a pop or rock song. How's it work for you?
So the answer is yes.
Okay, sure.
There's, I don't really have a standard way that it happens. I've had songs where, I've had most of the lyrics written before I ever pick anything up, and when you've got the lyrics or you've got this story that you're trying to tell, you kind of know the vibe that's coming from that, and you pick up a guitar and things kind of fit together. I've also had other times where I've written a whole song on a guitar and mumbled lyrics through it and put that down on recorded that to my phone so that I had this loop of here's kind of the way the syllables should sound coming through this guitar piece, and you just kind of sit and listen to it and something comes up. I've got a song right now I've been working on that I started writing probably 10 years ago, and I've got a chorus and part of a verse, and I've got the whole like music written. Can't come up with lyrics. I've written like short stories about what I think the song is going to be about, just so I have a longer version of the story that I can now kind of pick and choose and condense. Still can't come up with anything for it. So it's one of the fun things about writing songs is I have no idea what I'm doing. I mean, literally no clue what I'm doing when I go to write a song. It just sort of, things come up and you get that one little piece that you kind of grab a hold of and you're like, okay, I can build off of this, or I can tell this story this way, or and sometimes it's something that happens in your life. There's an experience. Sometimes it's just a story you want to tell.
Yeah. And that's a great point that you bring up. It's organic. A lot of our local artists, or all local artists, wherever you're listening, it's not manufactured music like you hear on the radio, the top 40 stuff.
Right.
Of course, it's all organic. It all comes naturally, and you can tell, when it comes through the music that person lived it, experienced it. It's just not something that somebody wrote for them and they sang it. It's all you. Everything in it is you.
Yeah.
And that's great. That's a good thing about being an independent or local musician. You don't. It's all you. It's who you are.
Yes.
Which comes through.
Absolutely.
And speaking of music, you got another one for us?
Sure. Love to play another one. I'll do one. So this is another one off my latest album, and it's the oldest song on the album. I wrote it, I think, in 2003, 2004. So this goes back a ways, but I wrote it when I was in college, and it's really a breakup song. It's one that I wrote kind of about when you break up with someone, you have that relationship end, and some time goes by, and you think you're kind of like, okay, I'm moved on, I'm past this. Okay, what's next? And all of a sudden, you see that person somewhere, and you have that moment where you're over it, you're fine, but you have that moment where you see him, and you're like,
is it really over?
What do I do now? Yeah. So this is it's one I put on one of my self-titled albums in, I think, 2006, but I felt like it needed an updated recording and a better recording. So for this last album, I put a version together. This is called Back Under My Skin. Every time I turn around, and every time I draw a breath, I feel I'm sinking underground. I feel my chest arrested, and I'm left fading, intoxicating, revive my own little loosed from under your spell. And then I watch you terrify me, and I watch you break my heart again. I watch you crawl back under my skin. Well, every time I see your friends, and every time I pass your house, I feel the rains are closing in. But still I drown without you, and I'm left hating you're perpetrating these crimes you know so well. When I thought I had been lost to your suffering and loose from under your spell, and then I watch you terrify me, and I watch you break my heart again. I watch you crawl back under my skin. I always thought I was smarter than letting myself get wrecked, feeling like a half-dead martyr. I haven't gotten clear just yet, with little left of life to barter and no one left to blame. It always ends the same. I'm left faded, intoxicated by one last fare thee well. When I thought I had been lost to your suffering and loose from under your spell, then I watch you terrify me, and I watch you break my heart again. I watch you crawl back under my skin. Oh, 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 oh,
Johnathan Eckberg with Back Under My Skin here on the Local Lick Show, Vintage Radio 107.7 WQUD. Johnny Dollar here. And guess what? We're going to have more with Johnathan right after our commercial break. So sit tight. That's right. Be safe. Be smart. Go to Brenny's. Hey, welcome back to the Local Lick Show, brought to you by Brenny's Motorcycle Clinic. Johnny Dollar here. You're listening to Vintage Radio 107.7 WQUD on the edge of your dial. And I am joined live in studio with Johnathan Eckberg, our guest this afternoon here. And I want to go back and, talk to a musician about this, but like right now we're listening to this bed music, and I kind of feel like adding lyrics to it. I know there must be like a name for that. You were talking about it. You're like mumbling stuff when you're writing, and but that has got to be a scientific term for that.
I'm sure there is. Well, you go back to the old story of Yesterday by the Beatles, right? If you've heard the story of that song, McCartney woke up in the middle of the night with basically this whole song in his head, and he's like, I had to hear this somewhere else. Like, there's no way this is a new song. And so he starts singing, scrambled eggs, oh my darling, how I love your legs, right? And it's just putting this, like, I got this song, I need something there to help me remember where I'm going with it. You know, then you come back and rewrite the lyrics, and yeah, man, I don't know, but there's something to it.
And it's interesting you brought that up because I'll catch myself doing that, and yeah, it is a weird thing. Now, you talked about bands that inspired you and throughout your life. What are some surprising artists that people might not think would be in your library? Ooh. Is there anybody out there?
That's a good one. I mean, there's like I said, there's a lot of not well-known stuff that I listen to that if you heard my music and you heard their music, you'd go, oh yeah, I can hear that, but they're maybe lesser known. There's a guy named Jeffrey Foucault who he's actually from up in Wisconsin somewhere, but just a phenomenal singer-songwriter guy that just people don't know about, and they should.
Yeah.
They should know who he is. John Gorka is he's an old, he's been around a while, folk singer-songwriter, just incredible lyricist, tells these amazing stories, and a guy that if you say his name, people are like, I have no idea who this guy is, but you should, because if you're into songwriting, he's absolutely amazing, one of my favorites. I don't know. There's so much in my if you look through my music list, there's so much stuff there that again, all the 90s rock stuff. Toad the Wet Sprocket.
That's some good stuff.
They're
right
one
there.
of my favorites.
Yeah.
And Glenn Phillips, lead singer, done a bunch of solo stuff that he's one of my favorite songwriters as well. So yeah, I don't know.
A lot though.
Yeah.
A lot.
There's a little bit of something. I mean, the one that I come back to, I do one of the songs live is Nelly Furtado. If you remember her from the 90s,
yep.
Like she does weird music. Like her stuff is kind of weird, but the production of her vocals on her first album are just amazing. I mean, it's this like symphony of these vocal parts that if you're listening real close, you hear this little vocal part kind of pop in right here, and it's absolutely phenomenal. Like I love her first album, just for the production value of her vocals.
Yeah, and you can appreciate different genres and different artists for not just the music,
Absolutely.
but for how it's produced.
Yes,
and that I think it takes a musician to really appreciate that, or at least that and a good music lover. I mean, you got to look beyond just the lyrical or the sonic quality of a song.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff. Like I'm not a big country music fan. Like I don't listen to much country music. But there's some guys that, man, I listen to and I'm like, that is, listen to Keith Urban play guitar or Brad Paisley play guitar is, you just sit there and your mouth is open if you're a guitar player watching them, because they're amazing, and they're these great guitar players. Their music I don't necessarily really care for, to be honest.
Sure,
but
that's right. Yeah,
man, I love watching them play guitar.
Yeah, everybody's got a great quality. You got to appreciate all musicians for what they do.
For sure.
And now talking about singer-songwriters and you writing songs and the lyric part, you got all that done. But how do you know when a song is really done?
Again, that's another one. Songwriting's a mystery to me. It's I don't know. It's done when I finish recording it, and even then, it's not always done. Even then, sometimes there's little tweaks that you make afterwards. You're like, I should have done this, or I should have this line. And I'm a guy who spends I'll spend a ton of time on a song on prepositions. Just what's the right word here, or beginning line. Do I want but? Do I want and? Do I want for? Because like. These little tiny things that would be really easy to just go, this is my first thought, throw that in there, it's good. I'll agonize over those little things because I'm trying to be as clear as I can in this story that I'm telling, and I want it to go a certain direction and go to a certain place, and I want people to be able to follow me on that journey. So when it's done, when I stop working on it, I guess, is kind of the...
Yeah. And you mentioned that, you after you're done, you say to yourself, I should have done this, or I should have done that. do you take that into your next song, or is that next song just completely different and you just start all over again?
I think it's probably a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I mean, there are times where you're writing something like, oh yeah, thinking back to this song, but a lot of times I feel like it's just, you hope that, as with any experience in life, anything you do, that you do enough, hopefully you get better. You should be getting better as you do it more and more and more. Just that experience and things that you maybe had to work really hard to go, oh, I got to remember to do this, become second nature in that. And I think there's a little bit of that to songwriting as well. Just kind of learning, okay, this is kind of what I do and where I go with things. Again, one of the beauties of songwriting is there is no right or wrong. There's a great book. I can't remember the name of it, but it's basically all these little essays of great songwriters. I mean, it's Bob Dylan, Leonard Cohen, it's Janice Ian, you name the great songwriters of all time, and they've got this little essay of how they write songs or how they wrote a particular song, and you read through it, and the beauty is every single one is drastically different than everybody else's, and you go, oh, well, while that's frustrating, because you can't just go, well, if I just do A, B, and C, then I'll get to D and I'll have this great song. It's also freeing too, because you go, okay, I'm going to do what I do, and I'm going to do what makes sense to me, and we're going to be good with that.
All right. Well, you have a song example for us?
Sure. This is one that contains absolutely no personal experience whatsoever. It's just a story. This is one off my last Oak Mountain EP, and it's a song I wrote really because when I met my wife and got married, before that, my dad used to say, all your songs are really depressing. Like they were all these.
Thanks, Dad.
Sad breakup songs. Like they're good, but they're kind of depressing. And then I met my wife, and he's like, I hope you can still write your good depressing songs. So he was afraid that I'd be happy, and that would destroy my songwriting. So I wrote this song to prove to him, even though I was happy, I could still write a depressing song.
I've never heard that before.
This is called "And Now You're Gone." I was so young then, my heart was full of gold, chasing all the four winds, and you my love to hold. But I was maybe reckless, I sowed our fields in vain. The winter came and wrecked us as it swept across the plains. And you were a liar, like a lion in the dark, looking for someone just to tear their soul apart. There's never a last one, just another foolish mark. So you're gone, and now you're gone. And you were so young then, your face so full of grace, with softly whispered amens every time I kissed your face. But you were looking through me so soon as I was gone. You hopped upon the last seat of the first train at dawn. And you were a liar, like a lion in the dark, become so old now, so far beyond my years. My sympathies are sold out to the cold profiteers. You left me like a cool breeze. You left me on my own to wrestle with your memories and a heart bled to stone. 'Cause you were a liar, like a lion in the dark, looking for someone just to tear their soul apart. There's never a last one, just another foolish mark. So you're gone, and now you're gone. So you're gone, and now you're gone.
Johnathan Eckberg with "And Now You're Gone," and I don't know what it is. If it's the tempo or the tone, but it makes me just stop and listen to the lyrics and just, I don't know. There's something about it. It's such a great song.
You.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Such a great song. I really love that one.
Thanks.
Now, I got to ask you. Actually, Uncle Tim wants to ask you He told me to ask you about running.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about outside the music stuff here.
Yeah.
Let's start with that. You must be a runner then.
Yeah. So I got into running, when I was in middle school, running track. I have two of my older brothers, Matt, and one of my other older brothers named Joel. They were both runners and ran in college, and so I kind of followed in their footsteps. Ran in high school, was All-State a couple times. Went on to run in college, and then after college, when I was living down in Nashville, I was playing music and traveling. I also helped out with coaching a college cross-country and track team down there. But I also ran, I call it semi-professionally. I was good enough running marathons where I could make some money and I could get some free stuff for it, but I wasn't good enough to make a living at it. So kind of semi-professionally. I used to run. I would train and do 150 miles a week. My average weeks were about 130 miles that I would run, and
I put that on in maybe a decade, I think.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I was out of college and just kind of doing what I wanted to do. So that was training and running and playing music, and so it was. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So it was a good time. So so I had a couple Chicago Marathon in, I think it was 2008. I finished 21st. Was like the 6th American, was the second non-professional, non-full-time runner to finish that race. That's 40,000 people running that thing, and so I had some good races and good runs, and
wow.
So yeah.
I'm just tired of hearing that. I'm not tired of hearing it, but it makes me tired. Man, that's a lot. Well, that's good. That's good. That's good exercise.
Yeah.
And we all know, if you know Uncle Tim, he loves to be out on the track.
Absolutely.
He sure does. All right, we're going to take a very short break here. When we come back, we'll find out more about your non-music stuff, what you do for fun.
Sounds great.
All right. Hey, you're listening to The Local Lick Show right here on Vintage Radio. Johnny Dollar here, broadcasting from the Rhythm City Casino Studios here in downtown Erie, Illinois. Give me a few minutes, and I'll be right back with more Johnathan Eckberg. Pizza. Hey, welcome back to the Local Lick Show. Johnny Dollar here, along with Johnathan Eckberg, a.k.a. Oak Mountain.
There you go.
And before we took our break, we were talking about your non-music stuff. You're a runner. And what else do you do when you're not running or playing music? Have you ever ran and played music at the same time?
I have not.
All right,
I
you should
haven't tried
try
that one.
Okay.
I don't think I will.
Okay. I don't know. Well, so
somebody else.
Yeah, there you go. Besides all that, what else do you do for fun?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm blessed to be able to live and work right here in Erie. I pastor the Erie Evangelical Free Church right here on the edge of town, so get to do a lot there at the church, and it's incredible church, amazing people, just a blessing that I get to be a part of that church. So that takes up a lot of time, a lot of my time, and then my wife and I've got 3 kids, so Emerson, Chase, and Hayden, 3 young kids, so that eats up a lot of time too. That's pretty much all the time there is, right? I mean,
right? Yeah, yeah.
But we love to get outside, love to go hiking. I still run a little bit. I work out every day, but it's much less running, and just it's a great way for me to start my days with a good workout.
Just enough to keep you going.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Good for you. Good. Boy, I need some motivation and discipline to do that. I've been starting, but I don't know. We'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you've got 3 kids.
Yeah.
Naturally, my question is next: are they interested in music? You know, just listening. You know, do they appreciate lots of music?
Yeah, they do. They're still really young.
Mm-hmm.
So 7, 5, and 3.
Yeah.
So they enjoy singing a lot, and they make up their own songs, and the 2 older ones are starting to learn piano a little bit. That was my one stipulation. My son Chase wants to learn drums. I told him, you got to learn piano first. You have to learn piano before you can do anything else. And same thing, our oldest Emerson, she I think would kind of like to play guitar or something, but we said no, you got to learn piano. So my mom is a pianist, and has played for years for churches, and she used to, when we lived in Walnut, she used to play for like the school musicals and music contests and stuff like that. So she's teaching them piano, which is great, because I can't play well enough to teach them anything. So
So why the piano? Is it a discipline that for music, or?
Yeah, piano. If you understand piano and you can play piano, you understand how music works. Just because of the layout of the keys and the visual of seeing how the piano is laid out and all of the notes right next to each other. When you look at a guitar, it's hard to understand notes and how do things really fit together. But with piano, if you learn right, you know how music works. And if you can learn piano and play that well, that transfers better to other instruments than the opposite. Like, I learned to play guitar just by ear and by, following simple chord books and stuff like that. And I can sit down and I know enough, like, music theory and things like that to play-ish piano. Like, on my albums, I'm playing piano, but it's very basic and it's a lot of work for me. Whereas a lot of piano players can kind of sit down and figure out a guitar or something like that, because they understand how music works. So that's always been my thing for our kids, is they're going to learn piano first, and then if they want to learn other instruments, great, we'll get into that, but we're going to start with piano.
That's good. And patience. They've got plenty of time to learn a lot of stuff. And man, we had a guest from QC Rock Academy in a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And, he started that about 10 years ago, and I was telling him, I'm like, man, I wish I would have started, earlier.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, I got a guitar at home, but it's just, it's that gene.
Yep.
I'll get to it eventually, and hey, I'd be thrilled just to, play string a few things together.
Right.
That'd be great. But it's patience, and that's great that you're starting them young, and they have the appreciation for music, and just have fun with it.
Absolutely. Yep.
Just have fun with it. All right. Well, I think you got another song for us. Is that right?
Yeah. Let's do one more.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. So this is another one off the new Oak Mountain EP called "Smile Again." That's on Bandcamp and Apple Music and pretty much every digital distribution site. I don't really do the actual CDs anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I never make hard copies because, man, used to have to buy them in like things of 300 and you'd sell 100 of them. And great, now what do I do with these 200 CDs laying around the house? So everything's all digital now. But and this is another one I actually wrote for my wife, and this is called "Smile." never seen the sunset or the mountains of Peru or the Mona Lisa hanging on the walls inside the Louvre. And I don't know much Shakespeare, maybe just a line or two. And I ain't seen a thing that makes me smile the way you do. I've never been to London or seen the ruins down in Rome, seen the wall they built in China or the pyramids and bones. I never seen St. Petersburg, I never been to Kathmandu, and I ain't seen a thing that makes me smile the way you do. No, I ain't seen a thing to make me smile the way you do. And this heart don't need that stuff, 'cause all I ever wanted in you is all enough. As I fall more helplessly every single moment to the beauty that I see. Never seen the sunsets or the mountains of Peru or the Mona Lisa hanging on the walls inside the Louvre. And I don't know much Shakespeare, maybe just a line or two. And I ain't seen a thing that makes me smile the way you do. No, I ain't seen a thing to make me smile the way you do. No, I ain't seen nothing that makes me smile the way you do. Yeah.
Johnathan Eckberg with Smile. Man, Johnathan, you got some great stuff.
Oh, thank you.
Now, what's the future hold for you? What are you working on now? What's coming up? Anything to expect?
Yeah, so a couple things happening in July. July 4th, I'm playing guitar for the Ron Eckberg Band. That's at, I think, 4:30 in the afternoon, 4:30 to 7 or something like that. I don't really know. I'm the hired gun in that one. Dad's in charge, so I just show up when he tells me.
There you go. Whatever he
play
says.
The songs, yeah. And then July 15th is a Thursday night. I'll be back in Walnut again. They do a series of Thursday night shows there, and so I'll be playing from 6 to 8 there in Walnut on July 15th.
All right, and you're on Bandcamp, you said?
Yeah.
Which is a great place. We love Bandcamp, so go out and support Johnathan there. Anything else you want to say before we go?
Oh, man, thanks for having me in. I appreciate it. It's been fun.
Yeah, well, glad to have you in and hope to see you again soon. And happy Father's Day.
Well, thank you.
And a happy Father's Day to your dad. And yeah, so again, thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
All right, there you go. That is Johnathan Eckberg.